Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, chapter 18, verse 13. So you have a first class aboard here. Very clear writing and very fresh and big. Very good. Hari Hi Sakshat Bhagavan Sharirinam Atma Yasanam Iva Toyam Ipshitam Hitva Maham Tam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatina Hari Sakshat Bhagavan Sharirinam Atma Jasanam Ivatoyam Ipshitam Hitva Mahamstam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatinam Hari Sakshat Bhagavan Sharirinam Atma Jasanam Ivatoyam Ipshitam Hitva Mahamstam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatinam Hari Sakshat Bhagavan Sharirinam Atma Jasanam Vivatoya Ipshitam Hitva Mahamstam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatinam Hari Sakshat Bhagavan Sharirinam Atma Jasanam Vivatoya Ipshitam Hitva Mahamstam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatinam Atma Jasanam Vivatoya Ipshitam Hitva Mahamstam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatinam. Ladies? Hari Sakshat Bhagavan Sharirinam Atma Jasanam Vivatoya Ipshitam Hitva Mahamstam Yadi Sajjate Grihe Tada Mahatvam Vayasa Dampatinam Hari, the Lord, He certainly, Sakshat, directly, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sharirinam, of all living entities who have accepted material bodies, Atma, the life and soul, Jashanam, of the aquatics, Eva, light, Toyam, the vast water, Ipshitam is desire. Hitva, giving up. Mahan, a great personality. Tam, him. Yadi, it. Sajjate, becomes attached. Grihe, to household life. Tada, at that time. Mahatvam, greatness. Vayasa, by age. Dampatinam, of the husband and wife. For translation. Just as aquatics always desire to remain in the vast mass of water, all conditioned living entities naturally desire to remain in the vast existence of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if someone very great by material calculation fails to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, but instead becomes attached to material household life, his greatness is like that of a young, low-class couple. One who is too attached to material life loses all good spiritual qualities. Purport by His Divine Grace H.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although crocodiles are very fierce animals, they are powerless when they venture out of the water onto the land. When they are out of the water, they cannot exhibit their original power. Similarly, all-pervading Supersoul, Paramatma, is the source of all living entities, and all living entities are part and parcel of Him. When the living entity remains in contact with the all-pervading Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, he manifests his spiritual power, just like a crocodile exhibits strength in the water. In other words, the greatness of the living entity can be perceived when he is in the spiritual world, engaged in spiritual activities. Many householders, although well educated in the knowledge of the Vedas, become attached to family life. They are compared herein to crocodiles out of water, for they are devoid of their all spiritual strength. Their greatness is like that of a young husband and wife who, though uneducated, praise one another and become attracted to their own temporary beauty. This kind of greatness is appreciated only by the low-class men with no qualification. Everyone should therefore seek the shelter of the Supreme Soul, the source of all living entities. No one should waste his time in the so-called happiness of materialistic household life. In the Vedic civilization, this type of crippled life is allowed only until one's 50th year, when one must give up family life and enter either the order of Vanaprastha, independent retired life for cultivation of spiritual knowledge, or sannyas, renounced order in which one completely takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shivakaya Chakshuru Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shita Padakamalam Shirun Vaishnavamscha Shivupam Sajajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shishivada Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatjadisa Tarine Vanchakalpaturvyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Tushe Namah. Panchatatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Vigatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate giri tatkripa tamaham bande shikarun dinatane Krishna tadiya padapankar panjarantam adhyayame visatu manasaraja hansan prana prayama samaye kapavatta vittai kantavaro danavido smaranam kutaste. Okay, thank you for coming. And whoever's out there in radio land and internet land, and right? Nowadays we might have a bigger crowd in those places. This is mercy because generally the technology is Maya. And mostly that's definitely what it's created for by the creators of it, to spread mundane information and false information. But devotees, by the mercy of the Goswamis with the Yukta Vairagya, were able to utilize these same energies to spread Krishna consciousness, make it available, make this Bhagavatam, make the Kirtan, the deity darshan, everything available to more and more people. Can tune in on their telephone, their mobile, whatever you call it. Every country has a different name for those. Like some countries say recharge, they think that means you plug it in. You know, in other countries it means you put more credit on it. You know, no matter what you say, you get it wrong. So this is Prahlad speaking to the demons. Just looked in the previous verse. So he's telling the demons to give up family life. He told his father, you know, you should go to Vrindavan. Right? The next verse he says, the demons give up family life. Of course that means the griha, mating life. The different kinds of family life. We want to remain in Krishna's family. But most people, and then they're just caught up in thinking. We have so many examples. An extreme one was Ajamil. You know, but fortunately, the son was named Narayan, and even though he was thinking a small baby could help him at the time of death, the name helped him. Narayan helped him. So all living entities that, you know, we should be connected with Krishna, otherwise we're a very small part of our potency is realized. It's separated, just like you cut off your finger from the body, then that finger is useless. Maybe there's some rat or something would want to eat it, but otherwise what's the use of it? Cut off. Can't do anything, but connected to the body, fingers can do wonderful things. As long as the Super Soul will let us use them. The other day in Mayapur, Shivaram Swami was describing that, how the Super Soul is between the, you know, the mind and the body. So, you know, the mind wants to do something and then the body does it, but that agency has to be there that has contact with both the Super Soul and the Super Soul has contact with the gross body and the mind. So they can make it function, so we can type, we can play piano or play musical instruments or make art, acrobatics people do, but sometimes it's taken away, become paralyzed, can't move because of some other reason. Super Soul does not make it happen anymore. We're thinking we're independent doers, but in the spiritual world, we would have full potencies to enjoy, to be really happy. There's no kanchati, no sochati. You find throughout the Bhagavad Gita an idea. The spiritual world is described. There's no hankering and lamenting. The gopis are not thinking, oh, last week, this or that. They're just absorbed in the moment. They're not in anxiety about the future. There's some anxiety, but it's transcendental anxiety. Like when Krishna was in Dwarka, and they were discussing, like how the gopis are so miserable without Krishna. So some were saying, well, why doesn't Krishna go there then? If he loves the gopis, if he loves the Brijvasis, why doesn't he go and make them happy? But Krishna is thinking if he goes, you have to leave again, then he'll be more miserable. So he couldn't really know what to do. But that misery is not like our mundane misery of feeling separation from the things we lost, or we lost our youth, or we lost our money, or we lost our, whatever, our health. That's not like that. Because the more they get separated from Krishna, the more they feel the intense memory of Krishna. And with Krishna, it's different than if we lose our money and we just think about the money all the time, we won't have any money, and we'll be more and more miserable. There won't be any money, no matter how hard you think about the money, then it just gets further away, and the person won't be doing anything to get it back. But in the case of Krishna, thinking of Krishna is Krishna. Remembering Krishna is Krishna. Like Prabhupada said in New York, I'm traveling, I'm in New York, but actually I'm in Vrindavan, because I'm always thinking of Vrindavan. So Prabhupada could, explain that to us. And it's not easy to understand. Like Ramayana in modern intellectual India gets criticized for the cruelty of Lord Ram, that he would abandon Sita. But for Vaishnavas, understand that was a mercy to give her that ecstasy of the feelings of separation. And Ram was also experiencing it. It wasn't that he threw out one wife to get another one. They both were feeling an ecstatic separation, which would look like unhappiness to a mundane person, but it's not. So we should be thinking, this example is here, the fish, they need to be in the water, the aquatics, so they can't live very long. A crocodile is not exactly a fish, they breathe, but out of the water, if you've ever seen crocodiles out of the water, what do? They just lie around on top of each other in the zoo, I see. They're just lying around, they can hardly function. But in the water, they're very, very powerful. So they have to wait, for the animals to come down to the edge of the water, and they jump out, try to drag them into the water. They drag a big buffalo or something, and if they can get it into the water, then, but if they have to stay out of the water, they can't do much. But in the water, they're very, very powerful. Like with Gajendra, the elephant, very powerful elephant, but when he was in the water, he wasn't powerful. He was powerful on the land, so he couldn't. But he had the good fortune of taking shelter of the Lord and offering a lotus flower and saying some prayers that that somehow he remembered from his previous life, and then he was saved by Vishnu, cut off the head of the crocodile. Otherwise, he couldn't fight. No matter how hard he tried, no matter how much his elephant family tried to help him, they couldn't help him either. So the spirit soul really needs to be in the spiritual atmosphere. That's the point. When we're in the material atmosphere, thinking with this body, trying to enjoy externally, then we won't get the pleasure. Even if we get what we think is pleasure, it doesn't last very long. So the wise man is not interested in these kind of pleasures, so-called pleasures, contacting the senses with the sense objects, which is what everybody's after. now in the modern age, and it seems like, especially in Vrindavan now, the buzzword, what is it? Luxury? Huh? Luxury. I've seen ads even in Bangkok, beyond luxury, this one, beyond luxury, you know. But luxury, what is the use of it? How long can it last? What is it even, you know, right? In Hiranyakasipu, you have a soft bed, you have nice decorations all over the place, people worship you, but what is luxury, you know? Soft bed will just give you a backache, a crooked neck or something, you know. But somehow people think that's the goal of their human life, live luxuriously, whereas for the Brahmana, the tapasya is the wealth of the Brahman. Tapasya doesn't cost anything. Luxury is very expensive, right? It gets more and more expensive because it'll never satisfy. But tapasya is free. You don't have to pay for it. You can, if you're fasting, it doesn't cost anything. Right? If you want to eat luxuriously, it's very expensive. You have to go to and if you want to eat in a luxurious atmosphere so you can feel more important and enjoy the luxurious food more with nice luxurious service, and very expensive. So then you have to work very hard, tapasya, to be able to have luxury. But tapasya is free. And our tapasya is not very difficult. We don't have to. It's a little cold in the morning here, but we don't have to stand naked in the cold. And somebody just sent a picture of the trees in North Carolina was covered with ice. So I asked him, did the trees feel the cold? Because it looks very beautiful, the tree, you know, really, oh, it's so beautiful, you know. And what about the tree? He said, well, I don't know. He said they hibernate, so maybe they don't feel it, you know. They feel it when the sun comes up and they wake up and they feel happy. We don't know how they feel. They don't feel cold like we do, maybe, but they don't have much consciousness. But the trees, they seek the sun, they turn towards the sun, and they can see. They hear. We've done all kinds of experiments with the plants, you know, different kinds of sounds affect them. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't like it. So we don't have to do like that, but we need to, you know, give up sense gratification and try to do things for Krishna. Tapasya. Prabhupada gave us a big tapasya to cooperate, work together, right? That's not easy. One of the biggest Christian preachers in America, his books are very, very popular. He's a very heavy guy, he said, surrender is not the best way to get God, it's the only way, and 99% surrender won't work. It has to be 100%. Preach. Your purpose of human life is to tell other people about God. So, but he said you have to work within the church, you know, with all the other people. Otherwise you'll never develop tolerance and patience. Because all by yourself, how are you going to develop patience and tolerance for other people? So Prabhupada gave us that. He gave us this big society. He said, work together, cooperate. And then we get nice association. I was just in Mayapur on the Parikama. So that's a good exercise. In the first place, you get sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Lava matma, sarva shastra koy. Lava matra, sadhu sangha. Sarva siddhi hoy. This is all the shastras say this. The sadhu sangha is so important. And even one lava matra, 11th of a second, very short time, is perfection of all perfections. So especially on that parikrama, first I went on the international one, and so there, you know, devotees are a little more accustomed to luxury. So about half of them go back on the bus in the evening. So in the morning, you have the, you know, huge bath facilities, you know, all to yourself, you know. But then on the Hindi party, they had 1,600, 50% more people, and they don't go back. So they said it's quite, you know, if you don't get up at 2 o'clock or something, it gets pretty hectic. So they have to learn patience, have to tolerate, you know, you cannot, but everybody loves it, because that's the wealth of the Brahmanas. Not just the walking and all that, but working together, being together. This is our society, international society, and we want to bring more and more people into it. And it's happening, growing more and more. We can feel comfortable in the environment, spiritual environment, association of devotees around the temple, and in doing whatever we can to preach. Don't be just a fool, you know. So someone may be very great by material calculations, this verse says, but if he doesn't take shelter of the Supreme Lord, then he's just a fool. There's so many people that get advertised everywhere that are, you know, very intelligent, especially nowadays businessmen, anyone who can make a lot of money, you know, they get glorified like anything. But what do they do with that money? Buy more and more houses, big boats, you know, get married over and over again, you know, because they can't enjoy it. they can't be happy. They're frustrated. Even an example like Bhishma Dev. Devotees ask, you know, why? Well, Bhishma Dev was fighting on the side of Duryodhana, right? He's a great devotee. Why is he, you know, fighting for the demon? So, of course, there's the external reasons we hear. Well, he was obliged because he's in the kingdom, and you know, he was living off him, and he had vowed to try to protect the dynasty and everything. But Prabhupada said, just to show that no matter how great and powerful you are, if you're not on Krishna's side, you can't win. Bhishma was the most powerful of all the rest of them. But because he was not on the side of Krishna, he couldn't win. Of course, he wanted to fight against Krishna, and so many things are there, but Prabhupada gave that specific example, if anybody ever asked you. Krishna just arranged it to show that your material powers have no, you know, potency if we're not connected with Krishna. What is big of being against Krishna. But Duryodhana in the beginning, he was so proud, you know, because he had, 50% bigger army, and he had Bhishma and Drona, the two best. So he thought, you know, this is a joke, you know, we'll just win right away. And when he saw Arjuna, you know, get down off the chariot, he thought, oh, he's afraid. You know, I win automatically now. But Arjuna was afraid of killing all the other side. He wasn't afraid of losing, because he knew that he had Krishna. Even in Nigeria, it's a very down and out country, but people believe in God a lot. So you'll see like a truck, you can't believe the truck. Even in India, this truck would never make it. But it'll have a sign on it, when God, you don't have to worry when you're with God or something. There's nothing, no problem in life as long as God is with you. That they have that attitude because they have nothing else to take shelter of. That they don't know that much, you know, the science of God, or they don't know, you know, rules and regulations very much, but they believe in the power of God. They know they're supposed to surrender. So we should know. We know so much. You know, we know so much about Krishna by the mercy of Prabhupada. We have so much information, Srimad Bhagavatam, we know about Lord Chaitanya. So we should take full shelter and try to rescue. Bhagavad Gita, I don't know, someone can count how many times it says, performing welfare work for the benefit of everyone. And then Prabhupada explains what that means, spreading Krishna consciousness. That's the only way to do something that can benefit everyone. Otherwise you can benefit a few people, or, the Mayavadis think Manasa Seva, Madhava Seva. You serve man, you serve God. One morning walk here, when there used to be forests down the road, and anybody remember? It's all trees, right? Big ones. So there was one Mayavadi guy walking with Prabhupada. He was saying something, and Prabhupada said, "You see that tree?" And it was a huge tree. He said, "Yeah." Prabhupada said, "Can you water every leaf of that tree? Can you give water to every leaf?" And he said, "No." And then Prabhupada laughed. He said, "Even if you did, it wouldn't help the tree." Right? You have to water the root. You can go and put water on every leaf, but the leaf doesn't get watered by that method. It just gets wet. But when you put water on the root, somehow or other, all the leaves get it. So the same thing when you worship Krishna, then everyone benefits. Especially when we work on spreading the Tapta Jivanam. There's nothing better for the living entities who are burning up in the material world. Tapta, I forget the other two lines, but the great sages do this, and then Bhuvi Grinantaye, Buddhidajanaha, when one who distributes this Tavakatamritam, this transcendental kata of Krishna consciousness, the gopis are saying this, and then Buddhidajanaha, they're the most munificent, best. And if you know, when King Prataparudra, during the Rath Yatra, when he went in the garden and was massaging the feet of the Lord, and Lord Chaitanya was apparently asleep, and he was reciting the Gopi Gita, the king, he was instructed by Sarvabhauma or whoever it was to recite those prayers. And when he got to that one and he said, Tavakatamrita and then Bodhidajana, Lord Chaitanya jumped up, and he grabbed him and he was dancing and he said, "You are Bodhida, you are Bodhida, you go on chanting, go on chanting. You are the most beneficent. You're chanting this Krishna Katha." So this Lord Chaitanya's message, always, there's nothing better for the people, and there's no better way to get Krishna than to give Krishna. When Panchatattva broke open the storehouse of love of God and started distributing freely, indiscriminately, it just increased. The supply increased. And they didn't think like who's qualified or unqualified, like Prabhupada did. Prabhupada didn't think like, these people are just, a bunch of, intoxicated crazies, and dropouts from society, not successful in business. He didn't think like, he just thought they liked to chant. So he liked it. That's all he looked for, anyone who would chant. And then, because he knew their spirits, he knew everyone, but he approached everyone. He knew everyone was a spirit soul. Like Lord Nityananda, which Krishnadas Kaviraj says, he's, in his humility, he says, anyone even hears my name, they'll get contaminated. That only Lord Nityananda, who's an intoxicated madman, he's unable to discriminate a good person from a bad person. He's the only one that could save me. So this is our movement is that mood. And that's why we're all here, and more people are coming, because Lord Nityananda is empowering devotees to approach anyone and everyone and go anywhere and everywhere, and just understand these are all spirit souls. They're all part and parcel of Krishna. Any human type of life, any species, any condition, they're all meant, to connect with Krishna. So even the greatest person, it says, if they don't, they're just wasting their life. Shrama evi kevalam. Certainly and only and absolutely is a waste of time if one is not utilizing his human life to, cultivate Krishna consciousness. And then if we cultivate it, if we get some, we should give it. We shouldn't try to hoard it for ourselves. Krishna likes to be in society. He likes to be with many, many devotees. And we like that also. The more devotees are together chanting, the better it becomes. So we're always inviting more people come. Trying to go more places. Distribute more books. Energy is somehow or other, what they were saying in Mayapur was this TOVP is coming up, then everything else is coming up. That's a fact. Last year was the biggest book distribution since 1996, by far. And Mayapur, in Prabhupada, well, not even in Prabhupada's time, in all of India, they said it's impossible to distribute books. Anybody remember that? Prabhupada didn't like that. And then when the West India and Bombay and Bhima got it started over there, the Bengal said no. But in Bengal, impossible. They all have their book already. They want you to publish their book. They had so many things. But this December, Mayapur set the world history record of the most books distributed in December. And sometimes, even in Orissa, a very poorest country, the devotee that sold the most full sets was in Orissa. So there's no material condition to. So it's increasing everywhere. More and more people are coming. So we have to. Everybody has to work to find ways to, help the new devotees, teach people. Teach everybody, be a good example, or teach, make programs in your house or whatever you can do, get out, because everybody wants to know about Krishna. You see one of my god sisters in Mohanasini, she's obviously not a young girl and not healthy, but she goes every Friday, Saturday, Sunday in New Orleans, and she sends a report, 160 Bhagavad Gitas or something, like 400 books or something, Science of Self-Realization, Bhagavad Gita. And then she puts pictures of people, in their book. And they're saying, oh yeah, I've been looking for this book. Oh yeah, my friend told me how good it is. Yeah, it's just really far out. And that's America. And these are people from all over America, because New Orleans is like since graduating, somehow, I don't know why they go there, but somehow I guess they're just going to get the books. But they really, all these people, they're just from far away, small countryside places, oh yeah, I love meditation, I really want this. So we have a lot of work to do to follow up, because other people are also out there, giving their version of spiritual life. And oh yeah, we have Bhagavad Gita also, but they present it completely wrong. The Mayavadi is just exactly opposite of what Bhagavad Gita says. They say that's what it says. And it's very bewildering, because Krishna is unlimited and everything is within Krishna. So we need to, be prepared to study and share, talk about Krishna. Tapakatamritam, tapta jivanam, there's nothing better. No material adjustment can help anybody. No amount of you know, the trick is in Kali Yuga is the different political parties. And so, okay, everything is really bad, but next year we'll have a different party and everything will be all right. But they're all the same, and it never makes any difference. The only difference is going to be when, you know, more and more people can take shelter of Krishna and renounce sense gratification, live actually a luxurious life of tapasya, that it can really feel great pleasure. So there's time for any comment or question. Anybody? Banu? Yeah?
Wonderful class, Myers.
Huh?
Wonderful class, thank you.
And we see that I didn't know it was possible, but the dresses, the new dresses of the deities here are much more opulent than ever. Because they've always been so opulent. Really amazing. And we had the fortune of Agni Dev Kirtan this morning. All right, you have a question?
Thank you for the class, Maharaj. Thank you for the class. I found it amusing and serious at the same time. I just personally struggle sometimes with our movement, being a preaching movement, and therefore the message is very primarily spoken of the necessity to preach. And at the same time balancing an improved inner life. Because I'm sorry, I've talked to many devotees just in the last 1 month, many devotees who have the experience, as do I, being engaged in preaching work for over a decade or so, preaching and project after project and things that come along with that. And then after 10 or 15 years, feeling internally no substance whatsoever.
No what?
No substance, no internal satisfaction. I know we often hear messages that if you're engaged in services and that is Krishna consciousness and so on, but our inner life is itself telling us something that maybe we're missing some point in our application of Krishna consciousness. So I was wondering how we might balance the necessity for inner improvement and the preaching business of this kind.
Anybody hear what he said? Well, like we do have many, it depends, you know, if we're doing something, like you say, it's not what you say, but how you say it. You know, it's not what you do, but why you do it. So if we may be doing activities, whether it's preaching or deity worship, you know, waving things, but if we don't understand, you know, and we don't simultaneously cultivate hearing and chanting about Krishna and, you know, trying to do things for the pleasure of Krishna, we may be doing it for our own pleasure to, you know, in some degree, like kirtan. Kirtan it includes music, right? So if the music is first, then we won't get much out of it after some time. The mantra has to be first. One time George Harrison, long ago, he said something like, the music will get you to the mantra. And Mukunda wrote back and told him, no, that's wrong. The mantra will get you to the music or something. And when they met, which was sometime later, George Harrison says, oh, Mukunda, yeah, you chastised me. He was happy. So we can be preaching, you know, building a big temple, but if you know, it should be just for Krishna's pleasure, just for the pleasure of the Guru. It's easy to get bewildered by the profit, adoration, and fame, or, you know, whatever reason. So people come to Krishna for different reasons, arta, jigyasa, artarti. And then when they get what they want, they usually might go away for a while. So others are out preaching all the time and making more and more spiritual advancement, getting more enlightened and dig down deep into the Bhagavatam. Preaching is a sadhana also. Everything should be also sadhana. Sadhana is not just sitting down somewhere and memorizing slokas. It's an internal thing, how we're trying to do it for Krishna. And so the same activity can be karma kanda, it can be jnana kanda, it can be bhakti. Same exact external activity. Whether it's a job in a business, or whether it's addressing the deities, or leading the kirtan. It can be anything depending on the mentality. Prabhupada very much wanted his bell to ring. One time he called Tamal Krishna or something. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And then he said, no, but that's because it's not ringing. Why is it not ringing? And the rope used to break. They ring it a few times. Somehow they got it working. So now it's very good, always right on time. So it's supposed to be the end of the class. But it's true, we want to be working towards full surrender to Krishna, whatever we're doing. We might not be able to do that right now, but at least we have to know what the goal is. People working, and we may set different goals. I want to get so much money, or I want to build this or that. But why? And what is the ultimate goal? I just went and I saw Gargamuni and Brahmananda the other day. They were saying how, he was saying how in Bombay, the first times, they were living on the roof with just not a tent, just a tarp over the top, and they had absolutely no organization. They didn't know what they're going to eat. Just some of the neighbors there would feed them. But they were just, if Prabhupada would just smile at them, that's all they cared about. So they would put up with so much. We don't understand now what they went through these to give us this, what the devotees who built this temple. Nowadays construction is easy in Vrindavan, but in those days it couldn't even get cement. And when they did get cement, half the time it'd be reduced. It wasn't really cement anymore. And then give everything cheating. So, but somehow the devotees, for the pleasure of Prabhupada, they lived like that. They didn't have, all the luxuries we have now. And we come here and think it's not luxurious. Okay, so thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.